Good day and welcome to the Haws webinar on ADA standards and Haws hydration products. My name is Lex Cleese and I am the Regional Sales Manager for the Western United States, and I'll be your host today. As always with Haws presentations, our goal is to educate you on industry standards and to highlight what Haws products are and how they add to the commercial product space. Now, by way of an agenda today, as you can see here on the screen, threefold. First of all, I'll give you a little bit of Haws background, where we came from, who we are. Then I'll go into the ADA and give an overview of it, not of the whole ADA, it's a very wide-ranging piece of legislation, but looking at the very specific area of hydration products that applies to our industry. And finally, I'll segue into Haws hydration products, what the product breadth is, discussion of some of our main items, and looking at some of the features and benefits, always keeping in mind ADA and how it pertains. Now, you don't have to go far in your travels today to see examples of older style Haws fountains that are still in operation. For example, on the bottom right of the screen here, that looks a lot like our current number 1409 gang style fountain. This one has 4 bubbler heads instead of the 3 that I'll show you later in the 1409. But the design style is very similar. We've been producing these quality, long-lasting products for a long time. And we have a long history in the drinking fountain business. Now, the origin of Haws really goes back to 1906, when our founder, Luther Haws, was credited with the invention of the modern drinking fountain. Now, drinking fountains have been around for generations, really going back to Roman times or even beyond. But the modern drinking fountain was accredited to Luther Haws. He was in the Bay Area in Berkeley, California in the early 1900s and noticed that a lot of children in schools were getting ill and sharing that illness by sharing tin cups that they were sipping water out of. With the modern drinking fountain, this also led to the Haws Sanitary Drinking Faucet Company being formed in 1909. Now, interestingly, at that Luther Haws plumbing facility in Berkeley, there was a nearby Chevron refinery facility in Richmond, California, right down the street. And over time, it was noticed that the facility managers were coming over and were buying larger quantities of the bubbler heads, the nozzles for the drinking fountains. There was a couple of drinking fountains at the facility, but this seemed a little odd. It was finally asked, what are you doing with all these bubbler heads? And the facility managers mentioned that they were inverting these nozzles and were creating an eye wash. Well, eventually the lights went on, and starting in the 1950s, Haws got into the second part of our business that is very important today, and that of emergency equipment pertaining to drench showers and emergency eye and face washes. Very much a big part of our business today. So when you look at Haws as a whole, really you can think of us as a 5th generation family-owned global company that has 2 main areas of business. First of all, dealing with drinking fountains that we're going to talk about today, and then the important business of our emergency equipment and drench showers and eye washes as well. Now, the key point I'll be stressing today when discussing Haws is that we are a company that makes quality, long-lasting hydration products. We'll talk about the great breadth and depth of product offering when we get into the Haws-specific products later on. Model types vary between wall-mounted to floor-mounted, outdoor, indoor, some with bottle fillers, some without. We also have a variety of model options as far as materials: concrete, stainless steel, powder-coated, galvanized, aluminum, also available with vandal-resistant or ADA compliance. So our product breadth and offering is very wide: deck-mounted, wall-mounted, pedestal mount. As you can see here, we also do electric water coolers and chillers, a very wide array of products in our area. Now, really what I want to talk about before I get into the American Disabilities Act is stressing that quality and long-lasting product. As I said, that's really the foundation of our company. While some competitors focus on products with a 5 to 7 year lifespan with an initial price-driven focus, Haws stresses long-lasting drinking fountain products that are designed to last 20, 50, or even more years. So with that in mind, now let's go into some of the specifics of the American Disabilities Act, commonly referred to as the ADA. Now, the ADA became law in 1990, signed into action by President H.W. Bush. The ADA is one of America's most comprehensive pieces of civil rights legislation. that prohibits discrimination and guarantees that people with disabilities have the same opportunities as everyone else to participate in the mainstream of American life. The emergency equipment side of our business is important because it deals with life and death through the standards of ANSI V358.1 pertaining to drenched showers and eye face washes. But attention to the ADA should not be overlooked, as compliance with issues of civil rights in this country are taken very seriously. And when looking at commercial and industrial building applications, one must always keep in mind how the ADA standards pertain. So we'll be taking a look at that. Most pertinent in the ADA for us is the 2010 standard, which requires that drinking fountains, as it shows here, must be mounted at a height for wheelchair users to provide clear floor space for a forward approach. And there must also be drinking fountains installed at a height to accommodate very small children. So these are your low fountains. The 2010 standard also stipulates that there must be drinking fountains for standing persons. Now, the common misperception is that the ADA addresses able-bodied persons by stipulating a high fountain. That high fountain, in fact, is for standing persons with a disability of not being able to stoop. So the ADA does not pertain to able-bodied persons. It addresses those who are wheelchair-bound with the low fountains and those who are unable to stoop with the high fountains. So let's go into some of the specifics of the ADA now to get a sense of how drinking fountains and drinking fountain design are impacted by the ADA. First of all, Section 211.2 deals with the minimum number. So it stipulates that no fewer than 2 drinking fountains shall be provided. One of those, as we said, is designed for people confined to a wheelchair, and the second for standing persons not able-bodied with difficulty stooping. The exception is that a single drinking fountain that complies with the requirement for wheelchair-bound and standing persons is permitted to be substituted. This is what we call in the industry a high-low fountain, as shown here, with the low fountain having a bottle filler over it in this application. Now, Section 211.3 deals with more than the minimum number. So where more than the minimum number of drinking fountains specified or provided, half of them must comply for wheelchair-bound persons and half of them for standing persons. The exception would be that where 50% yields a fraction, that half can be rounded up or down, provided the total equals 100% of the fountains. So for example, if 7 drinking fountains are deemed to be provided, half of that is 3.5, a fraction. If you round up, you can have either 4 high fountains and 3 low fountains, or at the owner's discretion, you can have 3 high fountains and 4 low fountains. So the total adds up to 7, but there is a small amount of discretion available within the ADA dealing with the minimum number. Now, the quantity of fountains is based on the occupant load for the area meant to be served, and this is really not addressed by the ADA. The international plumbing codes really deal with occupancy load and the specific quantity of fountains within each commercial facility, so not within the regimen of the ADA. The location is left to the designer or owner, but generally is located in public areas or close to bathrooms throughout the facility. That makes sense. It makes sense to congregate in a public area, having your restrooms with accompanying nearby drinking fountains in the same area. Now, drinking fountains are not required in buildings with less than 15 occupants, nor are they required in restaurants serving water because it is just making sense that somebody who is wheelchair bound and has water being brought to them is not requiring the use of a drinking fountain in addition. Now, a couple of specific dimensions discussed in the 2010 ADA that I'd like to go over. Under Section 602.4, it deals with the spout height. So the spout, according to the standard, is 36 inches maximum above the floor for the low fountain. For standing persons, that dimension is 38 to 43 inches above the floor. And for a child height, the maximum is 30 inches. The spout location is specified as 15 inches minimum from the vertical support and 5 inches maximum from the front edge of the unit. So very specific locations. Remembering all the details of this is not crucial for the consumer's end of things. It's really more important for the manufacturer to ensure that we are making fountains that are completely compliant with the ADA standards. So there's not a quiz at the end of this. Just try to get the general idea of some of the standards and some of the pertinent details to get a rounded out picture. Now, under section 602.6, the water flow is specified at a minimum of 4 inches high, and it must be located 5 inches maximum from the front of the unit. The purpose of this 4-inch water flow height minimum is so that a cup can be placed under the water to provide a drink for an individual who may not, because of their disability, be able to use the drinking fountain. A couple other specifics I'll go into. Section 305.3 deals with the clear floor or ground space. Wheelchair access spaces require a space of 30-inch by 48-inch for either forward or parallel approach. So as you see here on the left side, if you have a forward approach in a wheelchair, there's a 30-inch width minimum and a 48-inch depth minimum. Conversely, for a parallel approach, the width minimum is 48-inch and the depth is 30 inches. Toe clearance is dealt with in section 306.2. The height from the floor to the bottom of the drinking fountain is a 9-inch minimum. There's a depth between 17 and 25 inch and a width of 30 inch, as shown in the diagram here for the wheelchair-bound person. There's also a knee clearance stipulated. The height from the floor to the bottom of the drinking fountain is to be between 9 and 27 inches. There's a depth maximum of 25 inches, and at 9 inches above the floor, there's a minimum, as there is again at 27 inches above the floor. And there's also a width restriction of a 30-inch minimum. Unobstructed forward reaching ranges. There's a high forward unobstructed reach height, which shall not be more than 48 inches. There's also a low reach height that shall not be less than 15 inches as shown. Obstructed forward reaching ranges are dealt with in section 308.2.2. It stipulates that when the reach depth is 20 inches or less, the reach height shall not be more than 48 inches. And when that reach depth is between 20 to 25 inches, the reach height shall not be more than 44 inches. And the depth overall cannot exceed 25 inches as shown. Unobstructed side reaching ranges. There's a high side unobstructed reach height, which shall not be more than 48 inches. Low side, not less than 15 inches. But there's an exception that stipulates that an obstruction shall be permitted between the clear floor or ground space and the element where the depth of the obstruction is 10 inches maximum, as shown here. Obstructed side reaching ranges. When the reach depth is 10 inches or less, the reach height shall not be more than 48 inches. When the reach depth is between 10 to 24 inches, the reach height shall not be more than 46 inches. And overall, the reach depth cannot exceed 24 inches as shown. Again, a lot of detail. This is what I call our ADA cheat sheet. It's really just a diagram showing you some of the key dimensions that may be helpful for reference. It shows dimensions both for an alcove installation and for a non-alcove wing wall installation. Again, big picture, the takeaway is just that the ADA is very specific in the requirements for drinking fountains. The installation portion is important to the end user, but a lot of the details are very pertinent to the manufacturer. So just ensure when you're dealing with ADA product and drinking fountains, as there is on the Haws website, it stipulates very clearly which are ADA compliant models. Not every single model out there is ADA compliant because there's not a requirement for it. Just be clear on which ones you are selecting for use in your building. So a question or a discussion point that often comes up is asking whether or not drinking fountains are soon going to be obsolete. There's been many articles, discussion forums. I have it when I do my live presentations, discussing the possible demise of drinking fountains and the turn exclusively to bottle fillers. They sure are popular. But regardless of popularity, in my opinion, and really the opinion of Haws as well, the stringent ADA requirement for a drinking fountain specifically, spelled out as a drinking fountain, supersedes all other building and plumbing codes in the U.S. In other words, drinking fountains are spelled out. The law of the land stipulates that the ADA and civil rights legislation supersedes and overrides all other building and plumbing codes. So it's not likely to be going anywhere unless the legislation is changed, which is not likely to happen anytime soon. The likely scenario is a continuation of the growth of bottle fillers, but it would be in addition to the requirements of drinking fountains being there for the ADA. So it would be an and scenario instead of or. So let's go into the ADA compliant hydration products produced by Haws, keeping in mind some of what I just talked about. Really at the core of the Haws product line is our push button valve, the model 5874 PBF. This is a front accessible unit for stream adjustment and servicing. And one of the key features is that it is front accessible. A lot of competitive products have these push button valves in the middle of the unit where you have to tear apart the unit in order to do any maintenance. That is a large expense and a large stress on time in the field. The 5874 allows for replaceable pressure regulation control cartridge right from the front. It is vandal resistant. The spanner you see on the right is how you access the unit, but otherwise it is vandal resistant. It also has a buffer mechanism to take care of the issue of water hammer and also to lessen any vandalism issues of people putting all their weight behind pushing the push button valve. So this unit, when I'm doing a live presentation, it is completely stainless steel and brass, no plastic components. When I drop it on the floor, it makes a resounding thud. It's a very heavy duty unit. Interestingly enough, we produce thousands of these at Haws every year for our own use and our own fountains. We produce thousands more for use in competitor fountains because the push button valve does fit in most competitive fountains. So it's a very popular, very outstanding unit. Helps lower operating costs. It's also available in the 5874 PV model, which is a recess button. Now in the architectural fountains, there are really three main series that we have. The first is our sculpted swirl bowl, our most architecturally appealing design, which is in a single unit known as the 1001, a barrier-free wall mount fountain. Standard would be in a satin finished stainless steel. Also available in a high polished stainless steel and with assorted mounting systems. When that 1001 is put in a high-low application, it's called a 1011, barrier-free dual wall mount fountain. Again, high-low, standard satin finished stainless steel. Comes available with a back panel. So if there are mounting plates used, the back panel covers it up and makes it more aesthetically pleasing. Also available in the high polished stainless steel and with mounting system as well. The second in our architectural series would be the 1107, which is a teardrop bowl-shaped design, the 1107L. This is a low-profile, barrier-free wall mount fountain. Standard would be a 14-gauge satin finished stainless steel. The high-low version would be the 1117L, barrier-free dual wall mount fountain. High-low profile, again, 14-gauge satin finished steel and with a back panel. The unique feature of the 1117L is that it is adjustable in the field. So there's a variety of heights for both the high and the low that can be adjusted in the field. The next model would be our 1109 flat-back barrier-free wall mount fountain. This is an 18-gauge satin finished stainless steel, also available in a 14-gauge version and available in the FR freeze-resistant series for outdoor use. The high-low would be the 1119 barrier-free dual wall mount fountain, 18-gauge again, available with the back panel, available in 14-gauge stainless steel, and as a freeze-resistant model. So three different architectural models of fountains. The 1025 is our barrier-free wall mount fountain. This is an 11-gauge fabricated steel. Standard would be a green powder-coated finish over galvanized substrate. It's also available in the 1025G, which is just the galvanized finish, and is, as with most of our fountains, that green powder-coated can be changed to a custom color through our specials division upon request. The 1311 has long been the workhorse, especially for fountains in the school districts all across the country. This is a barrier-free enameled iron wall mount fountain, durable white enameled iron. What is key about the white are two features. One is that it is very user-friendly as far as using bleaches or chemicals to clean it, unlike a satin stainless steel that is somewhat porous and over time can show some staining. The white actually, contrary to what you may think, is actually very easy to maintain and retain its original finish. This is a very low profile model. and available in also the 1501 series, which is a barrier-free dual enamel iron wall mount fountain. Available in the white again, durable white enameled iron with that back panel available. The other key feature of the white is that a lot of these are used in courtyard applications at schools, often in warmer climates where stainless steel would be too hot to touch. So the white is popular in those parts of the country as well. The 1409, that should look familiar. They're very similar to the gang style one I showed on one of the earlier slides of some of our earlier product. This is a barrier-free triple bubbler made of aluminum, wall-mounted fountain. It is a white powder-coated cast aluminum with 3 bubbler heads. Also available in the 1431, which is white enameled iron with 2 bubbler heads, one right and one left, or with 2 bubbler heads, which are both on the left. The 1407 is our barrier-free outdoor concrete wall-mounted fountain. This comes with wire-reinforced concrete for extra strength, has an exposed aggregate finish. We have a large variety of different types of aggregate, different colors, different styles available. This one also comes with a hood extension for the bubbler head protection. The 3177 is the pedestal fountain version of the concrete. Cast concrete with wire reinforcement again exposed aggregate finish, available in a variety of colors and finishes, and with a hood extension for the bubbler head protection. Also available in the FR freeze-resistant model. The 3150 is the pedestal fountain version of the outdoor concrete fountain. High-low, used for outdoor use, made of cast concrete with wire reinforcement. Again, exposed aggregate finish, adjustable arm for a child or adult height, and again with that hood extension for bubbler head protection, and again available in a freeze-resistant model. Lots of options. This shows our vertical production. We have our own batch plant for fabricating our own concrete. We very much take an artisan's approach to our concrete fountains, very much a hands-on product, very proud of the quality and the finish that we were able to produce with our concrete fountains, and the regularity with which we were able to deliver this product to job sites unmarred. Very difficult to do in an important part of our line that's been around for a long time. For those of you who are familiar with the Oakland Parks out on the West Coast, you'll recognize this unit, which is the 3202 barrier-free steel pedestal fountain. What's unique on this one, it's a trough style, which eliminates the need for the drain. The surface water just goes down the trough and either drops into a ground drain or just into the gravel or into the ground itself. Made of 12-gauge galvanized steel with a green standard powder-coated finish and a heavy-duty bubbler guard for protection. Supplementary to this, again, would be the 3202G version, which is the 12-gauge galvanized finish. Again, we can do custom colors upon request. The 3300 is a barrier-free dual steel pedestal fountain, high-low, made of 11-gauge galvanized steel, pedestal with green powder-coated finish as a standard, also available in the raw galvanized. Comes with a satin finish stainless steel bowl and bracket, and again, a heavy-duty bubbler guard for protection, available in freeze-resistant, and again, that 11-gauge galvanized if required, or other custom colors. The 3377 is a 14-gauge galvanized steel with our swirl bowl, a little more architecturally appealing, with a green powder-coated finish, sculpted stainless steel bowl, again, freeze-resistant and available in the galvanized steel with no exterior treatment. 3380 is a tubular steel barrier-free pedestal fountain made of 14-gauge galvanized steel with a green powder-coated finish, again, utilizing our 1011 architectural swirl bowl. Available freeze-resistant, again, galvanized steel and custom colors as well. The 3500 is a 12-gauge stainless steel with a green powder-coated finish. This is our pedestal fountain with a 3/8-inch thick cast stainless steel basin, extremely durable. Supplementary products include the very popular dog bowl, and also available in a freeze-resistant model, and as with all our fountains, with custom colors available upon request. The 3511, again referring to the West Coast where I live, if you're familiar with the Santa Monica area, you will see this barrier-free dual aluminum pedestal fountain all over the place, very antique, historic style. This is made of heavy-duty cast aluminum with black powder-coated finish. Supplementary to this would be the FR freeze-resistant model for colder regions of the country. For maintenance purposes, we produce a vandal-resistant strainer and also a sand trap. And you can see here the in-pedestal sand trap, which is the model 6635, which is optional on the 3500 pedestal series for those applications in parks that are close to playgrounds with sand that mysteriously seems to commonly find its way into the drinking fountain. Very handy item. Haws also makes barrier-free chilled wall-mounted fountains. So we have an 8-gallon-per-hour electric water cooler for those who want chilled water. So we do it in a variety of versions. Here it's shown with the 1001 swirl bowl and the 1011. Standard would be a satin finished stainless steel, available with the back panel as well, and also available in the high polished stainless steel. And it's also available in our other architectural designs, the 1107 version with the teardrop shape, and also in the 1109 with the flat back, and also in the high-low versions of each. Moving on to bottle fillers, our model 1900 bottle filler, this one can be mounted above almost any drinking fountain with ease, and it's ADA compliant when it's installed properly. This can be a standalone unit, or it can be operated with a waste drain. It has very narrow dimension, a large bottle filling area, and it has no electrical consumption, 100% mechanical in operation. The newest series of the bottle fillers at Haws is the 1920. This is a versatile wall-mounted bottle filler that can be mounted alone or above a drinking fountain, indoor or outdoor models, and can be used in either new construction or retrofitting. One of the most popular applications is as a retrofit item, because there are an awful lot of perfectly well-functioning high-low fountains across the country. There's no reason to tear them out and put them in the landfill. There's a demand for bottle fillers, and the 1920 fits this very nicely. As you can see here in this photo on the bottom right, the high-low fountain has that 3/8-inch back panel that we spoke of earlier. We have a matching back panel for the bottle filler, and the line that connects the 1920 to the fountains is a 3/8-inch PVC line that can easily be surface mounted underneath that panel. Installation typically only takes 45 or 50 minutes. Very easy to do as a retrofit, obviously very economically viable as well. So this is designed to fit over various Haws fountains, and it may fit over other installation applications as well. It's a vandal-resistant, very heavy-duty, 14-gauge Type 304 stainless steel box design, also available in high-polished stainless steel, available in a white, and it's available in a freeze-resistant model for outside. So something that has been very popular in the Haws family. Haws also produces two different bottle fillers for a wall mount design. There's a 2000S recessed and the 2000 SMS surface mounted bottle fillers. These are touch-free hygienic water dispensers, ADA compliant when installed properly. What's unique about these is that they have an electronic life cycle control. It's a light system on the front. It flashes or shows green in normal application when that 2,500 gallon capacity filter is doing fine. As it nears the end of the life cycle, it shows an amber light, warning that it's about to run out of its life cycle. And finally, and uniquely, it stays at a red light and the unit no longer functions once the 2,500 gallon capacity filter has reached the end of its life cycle. That's very unique because there's an awful lot of bottle fillers out there with filters that are no longer working properly, that are still in operation regardless, still pulling out water. So this is a much cleaner version. These are also available with custom logos, very popular with different education facilities, hospitality, office applications, a whole variety of different custom logos that we can put on these units as well. Finally, would be the modular outdoor drinking fountain and bottle filler. This one's unique in that it allows a series of customization fits in order to fit your individual site needs. It is configurable with bottle fillers, dog bowls, fountains, and hose bibs And it's also adaptable in that it can interchange the arms and other accessories before or after installation. So here we show the model 3611 with the dog bowl, bottle filler on top, and the sidearm. But you can do other standard model configurations as well. There's the 3602, which is the high fountain with a low sidearm, 3610, which is a standalone bottle filler, 3611 with the 3670 bottle filler, in a high configuration for the drinking fountain and a low for the dog bowl. And then it can be a high-low with the bottle filler as shown in 3612. And it can be interchanged. If you have a facility that on a particular function only wants bottle fillers, these easily pop off and you can add bottle fillers or add drinking fountains. Very unique model that is also very popular and very flexible in its configuration use. So in summary, I again stress that Haws' place in the market is as a company with more than 100 years experience manufacturing drinking fountains and related hydration products. At Haws, we stress quality building products designed to stand up to the abuse found in commercial spaces and with a very broad product line that addresses the wide array of needs in the market. And with renewed vigor, as we enter into the 5th generation of our family-owned company, we are dedicated to bringing out even more new product in the coming quarters, so please stay tuned. For detailed information, please visit Haws at our site, hawsco.com, where you can also join our customer team, a customer service team via live chat, or phone us directly. Thank you for your time, and thanks for visiting Haws.